And so this poem by that 13th century Persian poet mystic Jalaluddin Rumi came to my mind, entitled The Road Home. An ant hurries along a threshing floor with its grain of wheat, moving between huge stacks of wheat, not knowing the abundance all around. It thinks its one grain is all there is to love. So we too choose a tiny seed to be devoted to this body, one teacher, one path. Look farther and wider. The essence I inside of every human being can see. And what that essence I takes in, the being becomes. Solomon, Saturn. The ocean pours through a jar, and you might say it swims inside the fish. This mystery gives peace to our longing and makes the road home, home. So let's take a few minutes together in silence, just contemplating our own roads and that we are already home.
Heavenly the way when I'm searching for you. If you leave me halfway, heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way when I'm lost and confused. Heaven be the way when I'm searching for you. You leave me halfway. Heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me. Heaven show me when I'm lost and confused. Heaven be the way when I'm searching for you. Will lead me. Heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way when I'm lost and confused. Heaven be the way when I'm searching for you. You lead me halfway. Heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way. Heaven guide me. Heaven show me the way.
That's Paul Calabro, everyone.
Thank you, Paul.
And let's keep that round of applause going for our Reverend Dr. Guy Williams.
Thank you, sir. You know, I'm just so, I don't know what even to say, but it's so interesting because I've been singing that song is like a prayer for me. And I've been singing it all week. And then when Paul said he was going to do it this morning, I was just thrilled to know in it. It just kind of seems like one of those weeks where there's just something kind of fortuitous kind of happening. And then when your poem, Craig, it was just so lovely, this idea of this ant carrying this little grain with him, just surrounded by all this goodness and beauty that's kind of around us, but I get so kind of caught up on things. And I think that's kind of where I even want to start with the talk, is I was doing a lot of reflecting this week. I had some information come to me that startled me. And I was just sort of reflecting on, gosh, you know, this year just seems to have been framed with so many people passing and so much mischief in the world. Have you felt that? And it just kind of feels that way. It's like, goodness gracious, another memorial to do. Goodness gracious, another bombing or whatever the case may be happening. And you know, sometimes that can become somewhat overwhelming. And I started going through my notes, and I came across this that I don't know where I jotted it down. It's probably one of my rants or raves. But I'll share it with you from one of my journals. It says this, it says, "You are the light of the world, not a follower of the light, not a seeker of something outside yourself, the light itself. Not something you borrow, not something given to you or given to a few. It's something you are. Covered maybe, forgotten maybe, but never absent. We, you and I, are the light of the world. It's not so much that we're seeking it. Maybe it's covered, but it's not absent." And as I was reading on this and meditating on this, that still small voice that every now and then speaks to me in a way that I can discern it said, yeah, start acting like it. And you know, and I got to be thinking about that a little bit because, you know, I think if I can get a little galaxy brain here for a second, because I'm looking at I was pulling notes from everywhere this week. Something that comes from Kabbalah is in their cosmology. In the cosmology of the Kabbalah, there's this idea that Ein Sof, and Ein Sof essentially is that which is, and that which has always been. It's been before the universe, before the void, before anything. Ein Sof. But the nature of Ein Sof, if such a thing can be defined, is to create. You know, this idea that creation happened in a moment, it's in Kabbalah, creation has always been happening, and it's always happening. And this yearning caused this desire to create in physical form, to create that which is finite. But in this experience of the Ein Sof, the only way that that could happen is that it had to constrict a part of itself, literally to create the void into which all creation happens. But what's interesting, I think, about that, what I will offer to you for your consideration on that whole very idea is this, is that each of us carries a trace inside of us of the infinite. And maybe that restlessness that we feel, maybe that longing, maybe that dissatisfaction that comes up is really an echo in our soul, not so much a memory, but an echo in our soul of the infinite itself. And it's easy, like that little ant, to get distracted and you know, lost in that. But for me, what came to me is if I sit with the restlessness, with the grief, or whatever that is, maybe there's information in there for me of where to go. You know, New Thought is why I love New Thought, why I commit myself to New Thought, is New Thought is a very practical and it's a very pragmatic way of teaching. It lacks certain things because it's evolving. Goodness gracious, it's not that old, but everything is dynamic and everything is evolving, right? But this idea that it has something, and of course, probably as I'm saying that, you're thinking exactly as I'm thinking of something that Augustine says. You know, he says, "Amplianto salvatur isti quaestio," right? You know that, right? The answer is solved by walking. Ampliano solvitur ista quaestio. The answer is solved by walking. Now, in two ways, when Augustine wrote this, there was a couple things. One is he was sort of making a jab at a philosophical argument that had been done between Zeno and Diogenes, because Zeno was making this whole argument that matter doesn't truly exist, and you know that there's no such thing as motion. An arrow, when it's shot, isn't really moving, and he did this whole thing, and then you know, he's making this really kind of almost ironclad argument, and then Diogenes, who's the cynic, just walks across the room and says, "There, it's solved by walking." In other words, what Augustine would say is this: is for him. That we think by going. As human beings, we are dynamic. We engage. And what he would also say is that our understanding sharpens when we make contact with the world. So if we want to engage in a greater experience, if there's a question that we're wanting to work through, engage, but also quite literally walk. Quite literally, just walk. And I was thinking about this, you know, just be aware, be engaged, literally put your feet on the ground. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, and this morning, as I was kind of tuning up my notes here, there was an article in The Guardian by this guy, Bill McKibben. Anybody know who Bill McKibben is? Bill McKibben? he's someone to pay attention to. Bill McKibben has been around for decades. He is he's a real advocate he's a climate activist is basically what he is, and he's been around for a whole long time. And this was Earth Week or Earth Day last week or whatever. But he had an article in the Guardian, and it was the second one that he put out, but I thought it was really kind of interesting. In the first article he talked a couple weeks ago, he talked about how the whole crisis with fossil fuels is really creating the opportunity for electric vehicle sales and alternative energies. So there's actually a boon in the sense that because of the fossil fuel crisis, and we're realizing the folly of pursuing that there's a greater interest in alternative energies. But then what he wrote about today, which I thought was really interesting too, is he says, there's been a current argument, not even an argument, because it's basically one-sided, within our nation particularly, there is a faction that has this idea of spirituality that's attached to nationalism and violence and colonialism and all that other kind of stuff. And what it has done, it is attacked the Pope, another Augustinian. And as a result of that is that there has been a resurgence and a re-energy in progressive circles to re-engage in their own spirituality, because spirituality should not be limited to one set of people or even one political faction. I grew up, Roman Catholic, and at that time, it's done a lot of evil in the world, don't get me wrong, but it has always had a social conscience about it, and I would say that it whet my teeth on that. And so, even though there is this onslaught of fear and doom and all this kind of stuff that is going on, the backlash to it is that it's awakening a deeper spirituality in new possibilities. The more we kind of push for these draconian ways of running our colonial way of business and extracting from the earth and realizing what a failure it is and what a cost it is on everything, clever people are saying, hey, what about an alternative energy? And the more we lambast about this idea of compassion and love and justice and all that other kind of stuff, people are saying, wait a minute, you guys are full of, you know what? Because the bottom line is this, I think. Fear and hate have no novelty. They have no agility. All they can do is extract. They can't create. They can mimic, they can commandeer, but there's no creative in that. And so I say to all the domentors of doom, just bring it on. Bring it on. Yesterday we did the memorial for Gary Richard, and he is just a remarkable individual, and he's deeply spiritual. We've had long conversations, but he and I had this thing, a decade or so ago, this whole idea of whatever is going on, to ask this question: how good could this get? Because we're really trained to think the other way around, are we not? What next is going to happen? Oh my God! How good could this really get? How can this lead to something? Tolkien had a word for it. He called it a eucatastrophe. But it's about shifting the attention, the consciousness, the direction of where our thought is on these kinds of things, and where we rest on the wisdom of the ages as they try to inform us. And I was thinking a little bit more about this because, basically what New Thought says is this. It says that you don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Not as a moral judgment, as a frequency observation. The patterns in your relationships, your finances, your health, they are not happening to you, they are happening from you. And until something fundamentally shifts on the inside, the outside will keep reporting the same old news. And at a vibratory level, there's a possibility for each and every one of us to engage in that. It's, you don't fight hate with hate. You don't fight fear with fear. We have to remember we are the light. It may be covered. That's the whole part of Kabbalah, right? In Kabbalah, the whole thing, tikkun olam, is to uncover, to brush away the ashes from every particle of light that happened in this explosive element at the creation of all things. That's our task, that's our duty, that's our gift. It's the fun thing that we get to play and engage in. It's what the mystics have been teaching since forever. And so sometimes this restlessness, this yearning, really is that echo that's remembering, oh, yeah. I think St. Paul got that in Romans when he talks about all creation is yearning for this revelation to come through. And the word that he's using there, that yearning, that groaning, as the King James says, is really that full body, like giving birth. Something is happening. So yeah, we feel it. Yeah, there's a groaning. Yeah, there's a yearning, because something is wanting to come forward. Something is wanting to birth itself in that. And I don't know how it's going to happen on the outside. I have no idea how that plays itself out, but I do know what happens on the inside. I know what happens with me, and because I know what happens with me, I know that that possibility is for each and every one of you in this room and in the virtual world, or anyone else, that when we remember, oh, wait a minute, I have been so distracted that I actually forgot who I am in the moment. There's this, in the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, in the Hebrew Bible particularly, but in the Christian Bible as well, there's something known as gematria, which basically means that names and numbers have significances. There's a purpose, there's a meaning to these things. They're not random. And so the name of Jesus, actually the Hebrew or the Aramaic word for Jesus is Yeshua. And what it means in Hebrew is salvation, but the root word of it is Yasha. And Yasha means to be wide open, to be spacious, to be free from constriction. His name is not about the rescue of sin. We get so distracted on that whole thing because we take everything so personal. Like, I'm a sinful person. We just, I'm a sinful person, I'm broken, I'm this, and that. We just have got to get over that. We just do. And just move on with remembering who we are, spacious, wide, open, beingness, no matter what anybody says to us, because his name isn't about being rescued from sin. It's about the liberation from the narrow place, because that's the whole story all the time. It's the universal story, the mitzium, the constricted place, the narrow place, which was what Egypt means in Hebrew. And so the salvation is the expansion, the widening, the openness. That's kind of where we go with that. And I think in that, what I was writing is I was teaching in the School of Ministry last week, and they're having me teach Hebrew Bible. Here's the fun thing, everybody thinks he's Orthodox, right? So that's kind of where I go with that, what I was teaching them. But, as their hair was lighting on fire when I was explaining that God is not impotent, not impotent. God is not omnipotent. God is not omniscient. God is omnipresent, maybe. But so just watching their hair burn up. But I was kind of watching with this because, it's like, because if you think about it, what I wrote is this, what I said is that this is to consider a God who is not in control of everything. A God, if God is a mystery, then God is not a system that we can map out. And if God is relational, it means that God is not controlling every outcome. That the combination changes everything, because the future's not fixed, God's not orchestrating every detail. God is present, responsive, engaged, working within a world that is still unfolding, not less powerful, but powerful in another way. And Teilhard talks about this, where he talks about, when quoting John, if God is love, love is not just some, sentimental thing. Love has the power to attract, to create relationship, to engage, to transform. It's agile, it's novel, and that's how God operates. God does not operate by changing the law of nature, but God operates by being in relationship and luring and drawing and inviting, because it's always moving in that direction. And it's for us as we begin to breathe with that. And I thought this, and I thought, what are the most fundamental things about being a human being? Like, if you really distill it down. I'm into this new practice, by the way. Excuse me. It's not drinking and talking at the same time. I don't usually drink coffee before the talk, but I'm having a lot of fun having done that, but it's also made me a little bit more thirsty, more parched. But if we think, so this practice that I'm in is ask a question 3 times. It's like, here's an idea. It's like, why did the Titanic sink? Well, because it ran into an iceberg. Well, why did it run into an iceberg? Because it was going so fast. Well, why was it going so fast? Because that's just the nature of things. We're in a hurry. So the real issue isn't that the Titanic hit an iceberg because there was a flaw in everything. It hit an iceberg. It sank because it was going too fast and not seeing and not knowing. You with me on this? Maybe I need to go to decaf. But as I thought about this, I thought, what are the most basic, if I still don't know, what are 2 of the most basic parts of being a human? Breathing and walking. Those 2 things we get to do. Those 2 things, obviously, opposable thumbs and rational thinking and symbolic language and all those things kind of come into the picture, but breathing and walking are some of the most fundamental things about who we are. And this ability to do that, I'm not going to get into breathing today. I want to get into walking today, literally and figuratively, because it's sort of within us. And when I was going into this, when I got into this thought was this, is that I thought about Soren Kierkegaard, because I just loved his stuff so much. And he talked about walking as inhabiting the existential communications of all things, the existence of things. Truth is closed not in abstract propositions, something felt, something fixed, something that we tangibly engage in. And so this is what he did. So he says this. He says, every day I walk myself into a state of well-being and walk away from every illness. I have walked myself into my best thoughts, and I know of no thought so burdensome that one cannot walk away from it. And then he goes on to say, he says, above all else, do not lose your desire to walk. As simple as that. Above all else, do not lose your desire to walk. And so thinking about that then, I thought, there's so many metaphors about this. Ram Dass says, we're all just walking each other home, right? And that's the community part of what it is. But I also think that as a community and as individuals, as we're moving into these really interesting, perilous times, and maybe we don't know what to do, maybe we don't know the right thing at the right moment. Like Harriet Tubman said, keep on walking. Keep on walking. And the reality is this, is that we make the path by walking. We don't have to wait for the path to show up for us. we can make the path by walking. So let's take that thought into prayer. Let us consider that as we just allow our attention. Ayin Sof. There are so many names. The Shakti force. Allah, the compassionate and merciful. That divine nature, infinite wisdom. What Yeshua called Abba, loving presence like a parent. It is me. It is not outside of me. It is me. And if it is in me, it is in each and every one of us. And we honor it by simply remembering that in this world, there is so much magnificence, so much beauty, that the chart has not been written in our lives or in the life of this planet, but for each and every one of us here. We are a light. We are a light traveling through time and space. We are being lured by that divine existence that has existed before anything, Ayin Sof. And so we honor our own restlessness as much as we honor our joy. We honor our own grief as much as we honor the love that we experience. We don't try to run from one to the other. We just walk with it, walk with it, walk with it, letting it speak to us, letting it listen to us as we listen to that. And we give thanks, and we let it be. So it is. I'm going to just move this. Oh, you're sitting over here? I don't have to move this. Oh, you're going to move this again? Okay. I can have done that.
Magnificence in
Paul.
Thank you, Paul and Jim, and your nice little accompaniment. This is our time of conscious giving, so if you have a gift, hold it to your heart and just know it does good. It does so much magnificent things. And thank you.
Peace inside my mind, God, I know it's God I need to be. Peace inside my heart, God, I know it's God is here for me. Peace inside my heart, God, I know it's God is here for me. Peace inside my mind, God, I know it's what it's meant to be. Om Shanti. Om Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om. Om Shanti Om Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Om. Om
Paul, it was so fun having you sit in this week. Thank you. Thank you for that, and thank you for Lee and Jim accompanying him. It was kind of fun. Yeah, nicely done. Nicely done. And Karen, we were talking about you when service began, but you were outside decorating for your 90th birthday, so we're just acknowledging you, and we're just so grateful that you're in our community, and she's got her glasses on, and everything is all set, and look at her, just something else. Yeah. Can we sing or should we sing? Let's. We can do both. We are capable, so let's do it. Anybody want to lead us or watch me do it? I'll do it. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Karen. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah, Karen.
I'm telling you. So also thank you, Matt and Bob, for being our greeters today. That was a very good thing. And Mike, you supervising in the kitchen there with everybody that's preparing a feast. I saw lots of stuff out there. And Steve, thank you for being on sound today. And for anybody else and everyone else, if I've forgotten you, Noreen works in the gift shop. Andrea works everywhere. So anybody and everybody that's contributing, thank you all so much for creating this celebration. So here's how we'll do New Thought in the World, because it kind of gets weird. So I'm going to go sit at one of the tables and grab your food and come to that table and sit down, so we're not waiting around. And if there's more people, then we'll just add more tables. And if there's less people, we have a big table. So we'll do it just as you grab your food, make your way to the table that I'm sitting at, and we'll start a conversation. And we'll start with this whole idea that God is not omnipotent. And go from there.
Hear, hear.
Or Tolkien's Eucatastrophe, because that's the other thing I'm chewing on these days. So with all of that, let's let our breath bring us back. When we find our breath, we find the path back into our body. Remembering that each and every one of us is a temple of light, a presence of that which is moving through time and space in relationship to that which is moving through time and space anywhere and everywhere, all together. So my blessing, my prayer, is that today we are filled with amazement and wonder and awe. that it brings us the capacity to see this creative force in all life, leading us to a sense of reverence or resonance, awakening with each and every one of us a desire to serve. And I bless us all in that consciousness, giving thanks, letting it be. And so it was.
So it was.
So it is. Here's my song about never stopping that desire for walking. It's not clear, but I'm just like you. I've been over here pointing fingers too. But if you want change, you gotta do what's good. You gotta carry that water, chop that wood. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. Yeah.
Yeah, Paul.
Everything I do is part of this earth. Step by step I'm gonna add some worth. We can feel afraid but you can't deny it. We feel at ease when we help each other try it. If you want change you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. 'Cause we're all together. 'Cause we're all together. Yes, we are. Sing all together. No matter where you're coming from. Sing all together. Sing we're all together. Well, we should get together and sing these songs, but it's gonna take more to right these wrongs. I'm gonna know my history, I'm gonna do someone a favor, treat myself better and trust my neighbor. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood, carry that water. If you want change, you gotta do what you oughta. Chop that wood and carry that water. 'Cause we're all together. Yes, we are. We're all together. No matter where you're coming from, sing all together. Here we go. Sing we're all together. Happy Sunday, everybody. Thanks, Paul. Sorry, thanks, Jim.